Introducing Tony Hancock, Kenneth Williams and Sid James in The Footpath. This is interesting, Sid. East Team Council say they're going to open a further 2,000 miles of ancient tracks and pathways in the borough. I'm up for a bit of exercise. What about you? Last one to do all 2,000 miles is a sissy. What's interesting about that, Hancock? Exercise is overrated. You don't see dead people exercising, do ya? I suppose not. But isn't the reason they're dead, Sid, is because they didn't exercise enough? That's just an excuse exercise nuts use, Hancock. But I, for one, will be tramping the green roads of Cheam, taking in the sights, sounds and smells of our amazing, verdant Surrey countryside. I'm thinking of making it a prerequisite of your tenancy agreement, Sid. It's for your own good. You've got to watch your ticker, you know. Not a chance. I'm fit enough for 23 railway cuttings. I'll outlive you. Hang on, there's a list of new footpaths in the paper at the end. It says railway cuttings to East Cheam Station via the sewage works. What a stroke of luck, Sid. We've got a footpath right on our own doorstep. Lucky us. We won't have to walk far to use it, will we? Yes, this really does whet the appetite. I'll ring the council and find out more about it. Is that the council, Footpaths and Recreations?
Yes, good afternoon. Can I help you?
I understand from the East Cheam Times that there's a new footpath opening that begins in railway cuttings. Could you be more precise? Whereabouts in railway cuttings? I'd like to try it out.
Right, I'll have a quick look then. It begins at, let me see, number 23 railway cuttings.
By Jove, that's a coincidence. That's right where I live. It's in our back garden, would you believe?
No, front garden to be precise. It starts in the front garden of number 23 railway cuttings.
It can't be in the garden. You mean outside on the pavement, surely?
No, in the garden, like I said. Is the phone line bad or something? Is it crackling? I'd call BT if I were you.
Well, I'm afraid you're wrong. It can't be in the front garden of number 23 railway cuttings. It happens to be a private dwelling.
And before it was a private dwelling, it used to be an ancient trackway over the North Downs, trodden by T-Rex and cavemen.
Yes, very quaint, but surely people aren't intending to use it, are they?
But you use it, don't you? You can't have a monopoly on the footpaths in East Cheam, Mr. Hancock.
Of course I flaming use it. I live here. No, I'm not having it. I'll have to take steps. An Englishman's front garden is his castle moat. So, what are you planning to do in the front garden then, Hancock? I'm not having it. I'm going to fortify it to keep vagrants, vagabonds, footpads and ramblers at bay. I thought you were keen to do a bit of rambling. That was before the council decided to put a footpath in my garden. Is this the railway cuttings footpath, old chap? No, it's not. Does it look like a footpath? Well, there's a signpost outside that directs people this way. It's got a little acorn on it, and a man has charged us £10 to use it. I don't care if it's got a flaming Brussels sprout for Christmas on it, mate. You're not coming in my garden. Would you believe it, Sid? Would you believe it? The council have already mapped and surveyed us and stuck signposts with flaming acorns up all over. They're even charging people to use it. It's a flaming liberty, isn't it, Hancock? Nothing's sacred anymore, not even our own. Bad luck, mate. You're going to have to cut down on the exercise. I'll have to get that fellow from the council down and sort him out. What exactly do you plan to do then? Well, I'd like to give him a punch up the old bracket, but I suppose I'll have to settle on showing him what a nice little garden full of flowers and shrubs we've got, and that it's a front garden and not a footpath.
morning, Mr. Hancock. You said come and see you.
Indeed I did. I wanted to invite you to my little unnamed corner of England, which is forever East Cheam.
Do you like Rupert Brook?
Well, if he wants to use my flaming garden as a footpath, I don't.
No, Rupert Brook is a dead poet who wrote poetry, what you just said.
And there'll be a few more dead poets if people start to use my flaming garden as a footpath. And no, that wasn't Rupert Brook. I made that up myself. Never mind. Now, my good man, I want you to remove your signs on your footpath and to stop charging people to use it forthwith and in triplicate.
I'm not a magician, Mr. Hancock. I just can't roll a footpath up like a carpet. And anyway, we haven't had time to put signposts up, and we're not allowed to charge. Footpaths are free for the public.
Who else is doing it if you aren't? Oh, I'm going to have to put my foot down. I'm going to take you and the rest of the council oaks to court, my good man, if you don't desist.
Suit yourself. By the way, why have you got cows in your garden?
Don't be nosy. Milk, of course. However, I'm also hoping they'll attack any hikers who trespass upon my front lawn. Beware of the bull. Order in court. I'll have a Big Mac and a large fries, Your Honour. Will the plaintiffs please be quiet? I heard that. Sorry, Your Honour, it won't happen again. I'll have a KFC and chips instead. Mr. Hancock, do you want this case heard or not? Call Mr. Knobsworth for the counsel.
Good morning, Your Worship.
Your Honour will do nicely, thank you, Mr. Knobsworth. I am not a bishop, and you, fortunately, are not my flock. Now, I understand you work for East Cheam Council in the Highways Department.
Not exactly. I happen to work from home.
No, I don't want to know about your domestic arrangements. Just where you work and what department you're in.
Well, I do work for the East Cheam Highways Department, but I'm working from home. That makes me itinerant, doesn't it?
He means he's an irritant, Your Honour. Mr. Hancock, there will be no catcalling in this court. Usher, make sure the police are on hand in case we have to remove Mr. Hancock. Now, Mr. Knobsworth, Mr. Hancock says you have put a footpath through his garden. How can this be?
Indeed, that's correct, but it's quite normal. You see, people build houses on old rights of way without checking first. Then they found they've done something wrong, and they haven't got planning permission, and they can't build there. People are daft like that.
Right, call Mr. Hancock. Will Mr. Hancock please take the witness stand, and be quick about it. Right, Mr. Hancock, why have you built a house on a right-of-way? I haven't built a house, Your Honour. I just live in one. That's not a crime as well, is it? I couldn't have done. It's over 100 years. How could I have built it? I'm innocent. Well, who built it then? No idea. Whoever was responsible, he's probably dead by now. Expect it was the people who built the railway, I suppose. It's in railway cuttings after all. Oh, for heaven's sakes, call Mr. Knobsworth. Are you trying to deliberately mislead the court, Mr. Knobsworth? Mr. Hancock is not a builder.
I didn't mean he built it, but someone must have. And he was stupid enough to buy it. Silly him, if you ask me. You need to contact the council and check first. There's rules and regulations, aren't there?
Yes, that makes more sense. Guilt by association. Very clever, Mr. Knobsworth. Were you ever considering a career in law by any chance? Yes, I'm afraid you're wasting the court's time, Mr. Hancock. Case dismissed. Hang on a minute, Your Honour. The council are also putting signposts encouraging people to use the footpath through my front garden, and they're charging people to use it. That's surely illegal, isn't it?
It's not us, Your Honour. We haven't erected any footpath signs. They're too expensive anyway. And we're not charging. We're not allowed to. If you ask me, Mr. Hancock's garden isn't much cop. To be quite honest, it's not worth paying anything for. Anyway, someone else must be doing it. If you ask me, Mr. Hancock needs to stop messing about.
This is an outrage. Knobsworth, you're part of the council blob, and you, Judge See-Through, are a fraud. You, Knobsworth, are using me to become council chairman, and you, See-Through, are trying to get a seat on the Supreme Court, aren't you? Mr. Hancock, you are becoming slanderous, and you must desist. I understand from Mr. Knobsworth that a certain Sidney James may be able to help in this investigation. What do you know about that, Mr. Hancock? Sid James? Sid James? That's outrageous. A finer, more upstanding citizen it would be hard to find. If there's one person I trust with my life, it's Sid James. You're having a go. It's the Liberal establishment, isn't it? Anyway, bad luck is not here. If there are any more verbal outbursts, Mr. Hancock, I will instigate a gagging order upon your person. And could you stop flailing your arms about? It's dangerous. A gagging order? That doesn't worry me, Justice See-Through, as I'm always telling gags. You can order me to tell as many gags as you want. Usher, tell the police to proceed with all alacrity to 23 railway cuttings and ask Mr. James to accompany them to court forthwith. I want to get this nonsense over as soon as possible. I've got a lunch appointment with the mayor. Yes, Your Honour, certainly. We have located Mr. James, Your Honour. We found him hiding in a wardrobe. I wasn't hiding, I was hunting for an old suit of mine. You haven't got a wardrobe, Sid. There was an extra threepence on the rent and you refused to pay. Right, Mr. James. One of your neighbours has informed a council representative, a Mr. Knobsworth, that he has seen you putting up signposts to the footpath in question. Is that true? Oh, Your Honour. And yet another Eastview resident says you tried to charge him for using the footpath in question. Is that true, Mr. James? Oh, Your Honour, not on my life. It isn't. Of course not, Sid. You wouldn't do anything like that to hurt your old friend Tony, would you? Of course not, Hancock. Mr. Hancock, I am interrogating Mr. James, not you. Please control yourself and stop acting like this is some courtroom drama from a soap on ITV. I demand a go. This is the Liberal establishment again, isn't it? Ganging up on me, suppressing the truth. You are a disgrace, Judge See-Through. Leave poor Sid alone. He's a working man. They're a protected species round here, you know. There's not very many of these people left. Mr. Hancock, you are now subject to a gagging order. You are no longer permitted to talk about this case inside or outside the courtroom. No chance, mate. The only way you're going to stop me talking is with a real gag. If you aren't careful, Mr. Hancock, that can be arranged. I have some burly policemen around who are just waiting for the opportunity. Now, Mr. James, the evidence is overwhelming that you are in some way responsible for this case, unfortunately being in this court. But what we do not have is a motive. So stop wasting the court's time and explain why you are doing this to Mr. Hancock. Although I can hardly blame you. I regret to say, Your Honour, I was forced to do it. Hancock there is putting the rent up without any form of negotiation. So why is Mr. Hancock putting the rent up? Taking liberties. He reckons because his number 23 railway cuttings now possesses its own footpath, he says it's got an amenity. And so, what do you say to that, Mr. Hancock? Nothing, unless you ungag me, Your Honour. Oh, all right, you are ungagged. You rotten sod, James. You never pay any rent anyway. I'm evicting you. You working class layabout, you dull bludger. They say the more you know, the less you know, which in your case doesn't mean very much because you didn't know anything in the first place.
You aren't allowed to evict Mr. James. He's a protected tenant. Don't worry, Sid. I'll give you a rent book.
Order! Order in court! This case is degenerating into farce. Mr. Hancock, you are fined £500. Now get out of my sight! £500? I haven't done anything, Your Honour. What about Sid? Justice is not blind, Mr. Hancock. I don't see anything wrong with Mr. James promoting a footpath and the benefit of healthy exercise to be derived thereupon. After all, this is Brexit Britain, isn't it? That confirms it. This is a conspiracy. Give me a couple of minutes and I'll come up with a theory about it if you like. Yes, here we go. Are you a Freemason, Judge See-Through? That, Mr. Hancock, is no business of yours. Hang on, I've got it now. You're part of the New World Order, Judge See-Through. Admit it. Go on. Where do you keep the all-seeing eye? It's in one of your drawers, isn't it? And how about the Illuminati? Silence in court! Sergeant, will you escort this fellow from the court, take him down to the cells, and call the hospital?